a spare set of heads, and I started just messing around with them. Uh, these heads, I had broken a valve, and it hit the top of the piston, bent it a little bit, and thankfully it didn't fall in the combustion chamber, but it messed up the valve guide. It broke a little bit, had a little crack. So we got him repaired, but I just never really trusted them. So I got the new heads, and which I just showed, the modifications we did to them, where we welded the same water jackets, kept saying water ports on the other videos, and then opened up the new one and stuff. So anyways, I'm thinking of what to do with the old heads, because they were fine. I was just gonna run them until they failed, but might as well have some fun with it, right? So essentially the idea or the theory is that drilling this dimples onto the face of the combustion chamber on the cylinder heads, that they'll act as they'll create some turbulence when the air is coming in through the intake, therefore helping mix the air and fuel, having a cleaner burn. So in theory, that could help with the throttle response, maybe low, mid, and torque. By creating a cleaner burn, a more efficient burn. But not sure. Some of the cons is that with the removing the material, you're essentially decreasing your compression ratio. Not sure by how much, because they're not that deep, but you're still removing material. So low compression engine, I wouldn't recommend it on that. I don't recommend it on any engine. Let me do this, and then we'll see if it even works. Don't do it. Don't do what I'm doing. I'm just having fun, trying to do some Mythbusters or something. I don't know. I might just also do it in the intake runner. Just like creating a little golf ball effect, but in the combustion chamber, it's a sealed, I don't know how to explain it, but I feel like it's a sealed chamber. So I don't think it would create that same, that it does on the potentially in the intake runner, or with the golf ball. Google it. I don't know how to explain it, but the dimples create like a little air pocket or something, and the air travels around it easier, increasing air velocity. And all the experts just correct me, but that's how I understand it, so hopefully it's the correct way. But anyways, I don't think it will do that same thing in the combustion chamber, because it's a sealed, it's sealed. It's not open to the air. So I think in here it'll just might do it initially when the air comes in, creating that, while it's mixing with the fuel, which would be good. And then once the compression part of the stroke happens, all that air will be compressed the same as the air in the cylinder. I feel like that's when you would have a negative, because you remove material, so it decreases your compression ratio. If it's a high compression ratio engine, I don't know, but I wouldn't recommend this on a race car with high RPMs and stuff. I think this is more for a mild build, maximum, I think 6,000 RPM, something like that. I think above that, this would be a negative, because This could potentially decrease the volume of air that's coming in the combustion chamber by, you know, creating those little air pockets. So then at high RPMs, you want more air. So I don't know. Like I said, I would love for somebody that has access to a dyno and be able to do a bench test and all that stuff. But I just wanted to share with you guys, see if somebody can do that. And or if not, just stay tuned. Just watch me blow up my engine. I honestly wish I would have done them a little smaller. But since I did the old heads slightly bigger, I'm gonna have to just try to keep it as consistent as I can. And I should have done a template to make sure they were all in the same spot. Instead, I just kind of know how many I put in each. So it's got 24 little dimples. And like I said, I try to do them as close to as possible, but I know it's not gonna be, perfect. And like I said, this engine is just to play with, or this head. I'm just curious to know if that would actually help. You know, like this type of cars, you know, you don't run emission stuff. So it's a killer when you're driving. But you always hear those backfires and stuff from unburnt fuel. And I always have that issue. No matter what I do to the carburetor, you know, I probably should get a different size carburetor instead of a 750, being in Colorado at altitude. But I got a 750 instead. I'm trying to match them to the other set of heads. But yeah, I'm not trying to get 15 minutes of fame, but Freiburger, Dosage, Finnegan, somebody, what's his name? Vice Grip Garage, what's his name? I feel like they could do this test. But I just wanted to show you guys how I'm doing it. In case somebody wants to try it, but please don't try this. You're gonna ruin your engine. But if it does work, you'll be a genius. Like I said, on a mild engine, it could be beneficial. I think I saw a video of some guy that tried this dimpling method in the intake runners, I want to say, and he did the bench work and everything. And there's like a sweet spot, you know, if you put too many dimples, it backfires. I feel like it doesn't allow the same amount of volume of air to enter the intake runners or the, you know, combustion chamber, whatever you did the dimples. It could decrease the volume of air going into that area. He's got the results of doing no dimples and then doing the air velocity with half dimple, and then just completely dimpled like a golf ball. And the one that was half dimpled outperformed the other ones all the way up to something like 600 lift. So that's what I mean, like engine that has less than 600 lift, if I interpret the data, could benefit from that, because it was like 3 CFM per every 100, or in every, it was like a 50 lift, 100 lift, 200 lift and stuff, and all of them, it outperformed the other ones by like 2 to 3 CFM, if I remember correctly. So now, how does that translate to horsepower? I have no clue, but it's just cool, interesting. I'm a wannabe scientist, so that stuff is kind of interesting. And like I said, on the video that I originally uploaded, and I was talking about why I was filming this and stuff, you know, which I deleted because it was horrible. But I mentioned that I was just doing these videos just to kind of have just to have a video of the work that I've done to my car, you know. I've lost so many videos breaking phones and stuff, and if I upload them, then it's kind of there for me to watch, my kids to watch, you know. So maybe it'll be a good memory for my children to have. And then maybe I show some cool stuff or show somebody how to do something. Let me take that back. I'm not gonna show nobody how to do anything. I'm showing you how I'm doing it, because I'm no professional. So I don't want somebody doing it the way I did it, you know. Maybe watch me make mistakes and don't do it the way I'm doing it, and you'll be better off. But for my girls, my son, maybe it might just be fun for them to watch these videos. You never know. I plan to stick around. I gotta watch them grow. But you never know. But anyways, a mild engine with maybe something like I'm acting like I know all about this. I just recently learned about lift and stuff, and I'm still confused on it. But I take it that you know, engine with the radical idle, or what do they call them? Rough idle, probably has a lift of 550 to 600. All right, guys. So I lost battery on at the end of the last video. But I was just talking about the type of engine that I think that this could benefit. Like I said, don't do it. But if I don't know, my math is right, I feel like an engine with maybe a 5,000 to 5,500 RPM max, you know, 6,000 might be pushing it. Because as I mentioned before, high RPMs, those dimples could actually hurt the volume of air that's coming into the chamber. So it would actually hurt at a high RPM. So I think like above 6,000 RPM for sure, this would not help. Another thing that this might actually help for is heat transfer or dissipation, I guess. So I'm just thinking, like I said, this is in theory. It could help with the pre-detonation, therefore maybe allowing you to use more ignition timing. Could help with a little bit of horsepower. I have no clue. But I remember Vice Grip Garage Derek, you know, one of those guys, if they could do engine dyno and try this on and LS, it doesn't matter, you know, just dimple it out. Same heads, cam, everything, you know, do one with and one without. I've seen those engine dynos, and they can tell you how the engine's behaving at any point, any given point, any given RPM. So that would be pretty cool to see. You know, like I said, I'll try to see if I can take it to the dyno or something, but gotta find a place that's close by, and then yeah, put some money aside for that, you know. We'll see, but dyno for sure. And yeah, like a mild build, maybe like a 500 lift cam max, you know. I think anything higher than that, not sure, we'll see. You know, the cam that I'm gonna install on this is 540 lift, I want to say, from comp cams. So I'll be pushing what I'm predicting. You know, if done right, I should have done a template for this. I should have put a stop on the drill so that I would go down at the same depth every single time. But again, these are just to play with, so I don't mind messing them up. And I usually work on this at night when the kids are asleep and I'm like a little bit tired, but you know, yeah, so I did a half-assed job, as you can tell. And as I had mentioned, I wish I would have made them a little smaller to not remove so much material, but still hopefully create that little turbulence that I'm talking about. And what I mean is, see if I can explain it, but like, let's say, you know, you got your piston going on the downstroke, intake valve is opening, and as the air comes in, and it feels those little dimples, the idea is that they'll create a little turbulence, and you know, creating a better, hopefully a better mix of air and fuel, therefore creating a better burn, hopefully more what's the word I'm looking for, evenly burn in the piston. After that, you know, once you're on the compression, those dimples would compress equally with the rest of the air and fuel that's in there. So that's when you would lose this a little bit of compression, you know. So that would be the downside. And then I was thinking about this also, you know, once you get to the exhaust and the exhaust valve opens, I was thinking whether it would create turbulence or not, you know, but it sounds like it wouldn't, you know, because you're not introducing new air into this, and this is basically, what, like I said before, a sealed system. You know, initially you do with the intake, but with it, once you get to the exhaust, the air's just being pushed out. So maybe, because if it was to do a little turbulence, it would help kind of, you know, dissipate the air, but it could also, for some reason, I feel like some of the air could get trapped behind and then not release all the stuff out. But because it's in a sealed system, and like I said, you're pushing the air out, I don't think that would be so much of a factor, you know. But that's where the engine dyno would come in handy, you know. Check your, I guess, you know, like I could check spark plugs and put a O2 sensor or something. Just wanted to share this, and you know, it might be something fun. thought I'd do something outside the box. You know, I've seen it in the intake runners and stuff. Like I said, this guy has the whole you know, data from the bench test that he did and stuff, and it was awesome. That's the one that I was mentioning about, showing the half dimple intake runners. Wish I knew the name of that channel. Showing better air velocity than the one without dimples and the one with the fully dimpled, like a, you know, like a golf ball. So that's where I think that, you know, there's a sweet spot for this. Yeah, so he's got some good data on that, you know, so it could help. Only one way to find out. But if you guys like this, you know, stay tuned. We're getting ready to put this engine back together, and you know, I'm taking a little deviation from the plan by possibly installing these heads first to see and see what happens. But thank you guys for watching. Sorry about this. I was thinking, you know, when I was drilling those dimples, that the sound of that drill is probably horrible. So if you stuck around and watched till this part of the video, I really appreciate you. And you know, God bless.